Hello. I'm back on this channel to talk about the subject, the great books. It's an introduction to the great books. It will be called GB1, Great Books 1. And as I said in my first episode, in the channel there will be three themes. One is new generation nuclear reactors. The second is the great books of the Western world. And the third is evil cults. So I made an introduction to new generation nuclear reactors. Now it's the introduction to the great books of the Western world. Next one will be on evil cults. So what is the great books of the Western world? A book, everybody knows what's a book. A great book, it's a good one. So it's one that's great, that was with time considered by community of people as a great one. So all over time, as literature was invented and people started writing, there were books that were called maybe great. And these were also called, as time passed, classics. And this is for books. It's also valid for music, for art, for painting, for monuments, for everything that humanity made. Some of these creations were called great. So the great books and classics always existed, and from in every century they had some notion about what were the great books and the great everything that was great. And so in the 20th century, there was in the United States they made this collection of books. It was headed by someone called Adler and Hutchins and other people, and they wanted to fix what was at this time in the 50s, what were the great books of the Western civilization. Of course, there are books in the Eastern civilization, but here in the West it was considered different from the East. That's why there isn't yet a collection of books called the Great Books of the World. But in the future there maybe will be. Also, these books are in relation with our culture, with our religion. So as in the East, the religions and cultures are a bit different. So it's logic that it's not the same great books there. Anyway, so in the 50s, in 1952, a person called Adler and his team, they compose a collection of books of 54 volumes comprising the works of 74 authors. Later in the 90s, there was a second edition of this collection. Six additional volumes were added, 4 authors having been removed, and 60 added. Of the 60 new authors, 45 were from the 20th century. So in the first collection, there was only one author of the 20th century. They added a lot more in the second edition. Now, in fact, when I say 54 volumes, in fact, there are 55, because the Bible also makes part of this collection, but it wasn't printed because everybody has a Bible in a house, or it's easy to have a Bible. Also, there's the question of what Bible, what traduction. So what are these books talking about? Well, they talk about everything in our culture, and a lot of things we learn at school too. So there is fiction, history, poetry, natural sciences, mathematics, philosophy, drama, politics, religion, economics, and ethics, and more. So all these themes you learn at school, but maybe in a bigger depth or not. Depends what school you went to, what education. So what's interesting is that you can, through those books, you can make yourself an education, if you're young or old. So that was that was one of the goals of these books, was to create such an to fix such an education, a Western education. They called it liberal education. And as a matter of fact, after these books were published, there were some schools, some institutions that took this basis of these books as a course. It exists, and you can find it on the internet. So what's good also is the goal of these books is to give us a wide education that maybe we didn't get at school. And also you can do it yourself. That's another point. You don't have to go somewhere, or because these books you can download them for free on the internet. I will leave the link in description. You can download the 1952 the first edition. The second edition you can also download it from a website called faithlife.com. I'll put the link also in description. And there you can, it's $16 per volume. And the whole collection is $369. But we will use, anyway, we'll use the first edition to start with anyway. So you don't need to make any expense. You can also buy the books on the internet if you look, the paper or the printed edition. It's also possible. So when I say there were 55 volumes in the first edition, the 3 first volumes, one was the introduction, and the second and third volume was called the Syntopicon. And this was a very interesting books because they traced all the ideas that the authors have, and they put it in the Syntopicon, 102 ideas, basic ideas that represent all the other ideas. And they linked this each idea to the books, so you can make a real study about one, for example, one idea in all the books, and find where it is and what page and everything. So it's a very interesting book of study called Syntopicon. Syn means collection of topics. Syntopicon. So that's about it. What I will do in these emissions, I will every time. Yes, another thing. In the Syntopicon, there is a 10-year reading plan for all the collection. So I will I think I will follow this this reading plan. I already tried it 2 times in my life, but I never succeeded because I never went more than farther than the first year. So this time I'll try to do it again. I have some more time, so I hope I'll get through to the 10 years. And each year you have 18 readings per year. So every month you have to read 1.5 readings. I'll try. I'm not 100% sure I will do it, but next episode I will tell you. So every time I have read one reading of the year, and then I'll make the episode talking about what I think what was interesting for me in this reading. So I'll tell you next time what if I'm going to follow this 10-year reading plan or not. So what else? How did I come in contact with these books? It because it was my father who in the 80s who who bought an Encyclopedia Britannica, and these books they were sold together. And my father he bought both together, the encyclopedia and the great books. He never really read them. I never saw him open a great book, but with time I was a bit intrigued about these books, about these important books, and so I sometimes had a look in them, and I sometimes use it in school to make some work. So with time, I had this desire to know, to really to explore more these books. I also read the introduction, and so I was a bit more and more. I agreed with the goals of the ideals of why it is important to read these great books. Of course, you have one of the great books, the Bible. So of course, this is a great book. I think I don't have to convince people to read it because it's a great book. It's the great book, maybe the greatest book. But this is, well, we will talk about this in the future. You don't have to be already a Christian, for example, to read these books. But the Bible is in this collection, so you will have the Bible, the ideas of the Bible pass through all this, the whole collection, except those who were before Christ. They didn't talk because it starts the great conversation that they made. It starts with the Greeks. So you have Plato, you have other Greek authors that were pre-Christian. But I'll explain. Every time I read a book, I will give a small introduction about this. So that's a bit all. I will leave the links below for you to download the books for free. And that's about it. Next time I'll be commenting the first reading of probably the first reading of the course, of the 10-year course. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.